Hey guys, it's Ripe again, back with more relationship stories. In today's video, a wife finds out that her husband was cheating on her with a 14-year-old behind her back. Here is what happened. And the first one starts like this. My girlfriend has some chronic issues and has not had the most stellar experience with healthcare providers. At some point, I had decided to go with her to some of her appointments to see what the fuss was all about. Surely it couldn't be that bad. Well, we went to see her PCP, who literally did nothing but write off all her concerns, interrupt her every time she spoke, and then continually ask the same two questions over and over, despite them being answered repeatedly. I was getting extremely frustrated and upset with the whole situation and how we were being treated. I spoke up to try and redirect the doctor, but she decided she would immediately interrupt me as well. What she didn't know was that I'd been working at that same healthcare organization for almost a decade. So when we got home, I filled out a patient satisfaction survey and complained. The next morning when I got to work, I filed an internal complaint as an employee against a dangerous doctor. Later that evening, I filed against her with the State Board of Medicine and with JCHO. And apparently JCAHO stands for the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organizations. Anyway, then a week later I had a sit down with the damn CEO to complain about this woman. They launched an investigation, and 8 weeks later we got an email saying that she was retiring effective immediately. I work in an operating room and have literally saved lives, but this might be my proudest achievement, keeping this vile woman from harming any more patients. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, that is one of the things I hate the most when you go to healthcare providers, and then it seems like they don't even give a damn how you are. Honestly, if you work in that field and don't care about people, why are you even working that job? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You should be dedicated to the well-being of others. Maybe I'm wrong here or something, I'm not sure, but anyway, let's move on to the title story. It is titled, I found out my husband is dating a 14-year-old behind my back. So I met my ex-husband 3 years ago on a dating app, and after a year and a half of marriage, we got settled into a happy and stable life together. Or so I thought. I am in my early 30s and he is in his late 20s, and despite our age difference, we used to have a strong bond. We both worked as teachers, although we taught at different schools, and we were well respected within our community. A few months ago, I came across something that not only made me divorce him, but also made me absolutely disgusted with him. I remember it being a rather nice day. It was the weekend after our anniversary, and we had plans to go to a nice restaurant when I noticed my ex-husband's Facebook profile open on his work laptop. Now, we don't really keep secrets with each other, and we both know each other's passwords, which is not a hard thing because we use the same password for all our accounts. By the way, Ripe Stars, don't do that. Huge security issue. I would highly advise against doing that. I know it's not the best security practice, but we periodically change it. Anyway, the point is that we did not hide things from each other, but I was under the impression that my ex-husband does not have a Facebook account. He told me he had deleted it because it was not being used anymore, and since then he never created a new one. So now seeing this Facebook account open, and that too on his work laptop, made me suspicious. He was in the bathroom at the time, so I sat down and looked at his account. He was also using a different name and profile picture that only showed his bare chest, which made me both concerned and angry. I immediately went to his chats and saw several messages, all with women. The recent one was 8 hours ago, a time when my ex-husband should have been sleeping, and of course I clicked on the chat expecting the worst, but my expectation could not even come close to what I was seeing. There were many pictures exchanged between the two that suggested he was engaged in some kind of inappropriate relationship with this person. And I wished that was all. But no, when I scrolled up I realized that it was not a woman he was talking with, it was a damn teenager. I scrolled up to the start of the chat where this girl clearly told my ex-husband that she was 14 and a student of the school that he taught at. And my disgusting ex-husband's reply was, "Don't be a good girl for you, sir." Of course, with that disgusting smiley. I genuinely feel like throwing up even as I typed this. At that time I was so shocked, I couldn't believe that this could be happening, that my ex-husband, whom I trusted and loved, could be involved in such a deranged behavior. I remember sitting there completely frozen, not sure if I should cry or scream or run to the police. Against my own judgment, I decided to first confront my ex-husband about the evidence I found on his Facebook. I don't know what I was expecting, but I had to talk to him. As soon as I mentioned the account open on his laptop, he panicked and started shouting at me, saying how I could touch his personal things. After seeing the same chats that I was going through, I think he realized that he could not deflect it by getting angry, so he started denying any wrongdoing. Trying to brush off the situation as a misunderstanding, saying how it didn't mean anything, how he was just drunk and made a mistake, how nothing happened between them, and then I mentioned her age and said that she had told him that she was a student at her school. And this man that I cannot believe I had lived with under the same roof for more than a year, this deranged monster said how the girl wanted it. He said even more gibberish to try and justify his actions, claiming that this student had pursued him and that their relationship was consensual. He started pleading to me how he was seduced by her, how he tried his best to hold back, but she was intent on getting together with him. I lost it. Then and there, I started screaming at him, calling him all kinds of names for putting the blame on a minor, for even thinking that I would take his side. He tried to maintain his same pleading tone, but when I threatened to call the police, he started shouting back. He started saying how it was my fault that he got seduced, that I was so busy in my work and career that I didn't give him any attention or intimacy, which led him to being weak against this girl's tactics. At that point, my anger left me and I was only left with disgust. I started to back away, wanting to no longer hear his disgusting explanations, but instead of giving me space, he tried to manipulate and brainwash me, insisting that our marriage could survive this and that he still loved me. He said that how he was ready to put it all behind us and how we could work on our relationship to cross this hurdle. I was so close to a panic attack that I was not even sure what to say to him at that time, but I knew I had to do 3 things. Number 1, kick this guy out of my house. Number 2, gather more evidence. And number 3, contact the parents of the underage girl, or better yet, the police. But I knew that a stubborn guy like him would not leave, so kicking him out had to wait. I ran out of the house instead, only my phone in hand, as he kept screaming my name. My friend lived a few blocks away, so I went there, though when I noticed that he was not following me, I took my phone out and tried to log into his account. As I had suspected, he had set the same password as his other accounts. I did not even realize that I was crying by then, but I quickly went to his chats and started screen recording everything. By the time I had screen recorded most of his chats, I got locked out, but that was fine, I had enough evidence. I had also reached my friend's place and I frantically rang her bell. She almost ran out, and when I was inside, I told her everything. Her husband also worked at the same school as my ex-husband, and he recognized the girl as a student of his. We decided to call the authorities as we had enough evidence to put this man behind bars. The police thankfully arrived quickly and took the matter very seriously and immediately opened an investigation into my ex-husband for the suspected exploitation of a minor student. They contacted the parents of the girl, who were horrified to hear about this. I cannot imagine what they must have been feeling at that time. Further interviewing of the girl and her family were kept hidden, but I got to know that they eventually took her out of the school and enrolled her somewhere else. I cannot blame them, though I did feel horrible for the girl. The investigation into my ex-husband's actions concluded with the authorities confirming that he did engage in a relationship with an underage student. It was also revealed that there hadn't been any intimate contact. He was leading the conversation in that direction though, and had planned to do that in the near future. Hearing that almost made me puke. As this whole thing was going on, I also took the necessary steps to open a case to divorce him. It was not a tough fight, not when he was pending trial for something so heinous. He did try to convince me to give him another chance to understand that he was being led astray, but I knew it was all BS. He had dug his grave, so he can sleep in it now, though he didn't seem like he was regretting his actions a bit, considering how he bragged that his father would just bail him out. In the end, he was put behind bars and I changed cities. It was not an easy or cheap decision, but it was the best decision for my mental health. Knowing that I was living with a man like that had really made me distrust people in my life. And while I know that I was not the victim in this whole thing, it still affected me. The reason I'm posting this is because today I got to know that my ex-husband's father passed away and he had not included my ex-husband in the will. In fact, my ex-husband had been completely cut off from his family and no one will be paying for his bail or even visit him. I hope he rots in that jail cell forever. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I gotta say, this is a really difficult story. What would you have done if you found out that your SO did something like this? I would say OP absolutely took the right steps and distanced herself as far and as quickly as possible from that disgusting human being. Also, props to the family of the ex-husband that they cut him off as well. I think that's the best way to do this. Let me know how you would have handled this in the comments. And the next one is titled, Stepson Stole My Car. But before we proceed, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and maybe even like the video, because that would help me tremendously. Thank you so much. So I am a 30 female doctor, and part of my job entails being on call for 1 to 3 nights a week, twice a month. My fiance, Dale, 30 male, has been saving with my stepson's mom to buy him a car for Christmas. My stepson, Rex, 16 male, has a license already but always has to borrow his mom's station wagon or his dad's beat-up pickup truck. His mom's car is apparently lame and embarrassing, and his dad's can only hold 1 passenger, not practical for a teen, but onto the main conflict. Rex texted me yesterday around 12 if he could borrow my car after school. His friends wanted to go to the mall, but the bus route is too long. Could they borrow my car? I texted back, sorry but no, I'm on call again. Can you ask your mom? He says no. I told him sorry, but my answer is still no. I'm sure you will find a solution. Ask your friends and you can all figure it out. If you see where this is going, you are less shocked than I am. I was up in my home office, the room where I keep my Switch, sewing machine and laptop, so not an official office. When I heard Rex and his friends downstairs after school, I was gonna see if they needed anything, but they left after a few minutes anyway, and an hour later I went to the kitchen cleaning up the empty bottles and wrappers from their snacks, and I saw the spot where I left my keys. It was empty. I began to panic. First, I bolted to the door. My car was gone. I immediately dialed my stepson. He picks up and it's obvious he's in a mall store that plays loud music. I told him to get his ass home now, and he laughed and said that I'm not his mom. He told me he'll be home whenever he pleases. I'm not proud, but I told him that he has 20 minutes to get home or I call the police and report it stolen. Rex panics and said he couldn't find all his friends and drive home in 20 minutes, and I told him, tough crap. 10 minutes later I get a text that he is in the mall parking lot and will be home soon. I phoned Rex's mom and informed her of this stunt. She was madder than me when I told her that I was on call. She apologized and promised to talk with Rex and Dale ASAP. Rex came in, threw me my keys, locked himself in his room. Dale then finally came home around 8 and said that he had been on the phone with his ex. He demanded to know why I punished his son. I put my foot down and explained that I'm on call, that means I need my car. Rex stole my car, Dale disagrees, his ex agrees with me and decided that she'll not be buying Rex a car anytime soon due to his entitlement. Dale thinks that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. I did not end up going into work, so why did I have to threaten Rex? I've only gone twice this year while on call. Just because nothing happens doesn't mean that I'm always clear. Rex is now grounded. My fiance barely speaks to me. Also asks me when I'm going in today. I'm not, and if I will apologize. I'm not budging and I'm still pissed that he doesn't get it. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Editing because it came up in the comments. Dale is 30, not 29, but yes, he was 14 when Rex was born. Don't get hung up on this though, it is not about the teen parents. Rex's mom was 15 when they had him and is the best mom if you ask me. She's who introduced me to Dale. Edit number 2, now I can see why my friend told me this sub can be a little much. I'm very thankful for these responses, but I think I'm going to leave the comments now and have a very frank discussion with Dale tonight. Rex is with his mom, so he won't be in the middle or get involved. The kid still would not look at me and called me a bitch who won't let him get his own car now. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know what you think about this one in the comments. And now we have some additional comments from OP, where OP said, "You think I could have ruined my stepson's life? Well, I could have lost my job because of his selfish actions. If I'm on call and don't respond, then someone might die. Rex's self-centered attitude could have caused way more harm than he realizes. He thinks that I have it easy, he's sitting around waiting for work to call me in. It is not easy. I'm constantly glued to my phone to make sure that I don't miss a call. I cannot relax on these days. I'm not off or on vacation. I have to be ready to drop everything, change into my scrubs and be out of the house within minutes. So when I noticed that my car was missing, I could do absolutely nothing. In my head, I was jobless with an oncoming lawsuit. You think this was just a teenage rebellious stunt? It was Rex being an entitled little prick. And you defend his actions probably because you are his age and don't understand real-life experience. So your comments are nothing but useless garbage to me. Go bother someone else? 14. Just realized I put down the wrong age. I may not be thrilled with Rex's current behavior, but I don't appreciate you putting parent in quote marks. And now we got an update to the story, and it reads like this. So apparently Dale reads through this subreddit on his work breaks. He texted me a link to my post during his dinner break. A short time later I first received a call from Rex's mom, who said that Dale called her and ranted about how I made him look bad online. She told him that she didn't give a damn because he didn't react the way a good parent should. Dale was so furious that he told her that he would be calling his mother to see if someone actually cared about his feelings. Dale's mother handed his ass back to him good and reiterated to Dale that he was not an active part in his son's life until he was 6, so he has no leg to stand on. Dale tried to complain about how everyone was being unfair to him. She shut him up and told him that his son did something wrong and that it is not about punishing him for being a bad father. Dale returned home a little while ago, about an hour earlier than he usually does. He looked defeated, but he was still short with me. Said he was disappointed that I posted, and now everyone who knows will think that he's a joke and a bad father. I did not think this conversation would end up with me ending the engagement and relationship, but it did. The house is all in my name, so Dale is packing up his crap and crawling back to his mom's house. The wedding was not set, so no money or time lost there. Dale said so many things that I don't even want to write down. This is not the man who I've known for 4 years, and I'm honestly shocked at how selfish he is. He said my doctor money would have to buy Rex a car to make up for all of the hard feelings. I'm astonished at how delusional he is. I'm done with this account and will not be returning. Added to add that also, the fact that he was not in Rex's life until age 6 was a huge red flag to me. He never mentioned it and refused to admit that it was a big deal during the argument we had when he came home. And yeah, Ripestars, I would say that OP did absolutely the right thing here. I'm not sure why Reddit was so angry at this post, but either way, let me know in the comments and let me know whether you think OP overreacted here or not. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. My aunt, now 40, has 3 kids under the age of 10. At every family gathering, I, 23 male, become the de facto babysitter despite me not wanting to, so the adults can drink. It was her birthday dinner yesterday, and my mom promised me that I would not have to babysit and that the kids would be at a friend's house. But well, the first step I take into their home is greeted by 2 ear-splitting screams about how much the kids missed me and want toddlery jodeling. I immediately realized I might have been lied to. Normally, I don't drink, huge lightweight, but since this was a special occasion, I had made some plans. So, my aunt enters the hall to greet my mom, while I reach into my backpack and walk into the living room and crack 1 out of 2 12% Viking beers I special ordered for me and my uncle. He likes weird beer, and we start drinking. About 3 minutes later, my aunt sees the can and starts screaming at me for drinking while watching the kids. I only heard the distant screaming. I repeat my mom's promise and she calls me the R word when they are clearly staying here. So I reach out my hand and say $200 for emergency babysitting and I won't finish this beer. She says, hell no. So I chuck the half-liter can to the loud cheers and laughs from my dad and uncle. When I'm done, I say, happy birthday, mommy sister, with a burp, with my mom just looking hugely embarrassed for my aunt. My designated driver, Dad, ends up watching them the entire night instead, and I think he might schedule a vasectomy soon. And the next one is another revenge story. So this year I got a new job that has been paying me very well. Therefore, for this Christmas, I decided to splurge on everyone. In particular, I spent a lot of my money on my 9-year-old daughter, and she deserves it 100%. She has been pushing herself in school, helping around in the house without being asked, and always being the kindest soul you will ever meet. However, when my mother-in-law came early in the morning and saw how the gifts under our tree were much more than usual, she asked why. I told her that I bought everyone a bunch of gifts, including her, and she then proceeded to ask how much gifts I got my daughter, and I told her about 3 big gifts and 3 mini ones. Apparently, this outraged her because she started saying that a 9-year-old did not deserve that many gifts, and she would be taking away the gift she bought my daughter so that my daughter would not be too spoiled. I told her that was unfair, especially since my mother-in-law promised my daughter a doll for Christmas and my daughter was looking forward to it. My mother-in-law said let it be a lesson to my daughter that in life she cannot get all the things she asks for. Look, I understand that, but it's not like I shower my daughter in gifts every day, and if anything, Christmas is the day you are supposed to spoil your children. But my wife told me to let it go, and it was her mother's gift, and therefore she could do anything she wanted with it, and her mother agreed, saying it was her right. And if we were going to play with that ideology, then so be it. I decided to remove the $600 designer bag I got my mother-in-law, the thing I knew she wanted the most, and gave her a $40 robe instead. Once my mother-in-law opened her present, she was disappointed, asking if that was all from me, because everyone else got increasingly more expensive gifts from me. And I said yes, and apologized if I disappointed her, but we cannot always get the gifts we hoped for. This left both her and my wife extremely furious, but hey, the mother-in-law got enough gifts that I wouldn't want to spoil her. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripestories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.